So last week we discussed quite at length about your early career with the band Berlin, your years as a photographer. You did a little bit of roadieing, and you finally got drawn back into the music scene by Gary Roberts from the Boomtown Rats, who needed a support act, I believe, which you told us about.
Yeah.
So take us on from there in your story.
Yeah, well, as I kind of explained the sort of first part of it really in the last show, I went out and did the tour, absolutely terrified, to be honest, because I'd never gone out as a sort of solo singer-songwriter, and there was me and my electroacoustic guitar, and that was it.
So it was just you and the guitar?
Yeah. So it was quite daunting, but I got really good reception through the tour, and some surprising compliments, and I kind of went, when I got back, I went, God, did that really happen? You know? And it just, I don't know, it was the catalyst really to sort of thinking, you know what, maybe I can do this. And I found that with the validation you get, it's not about, well, for me, it's never been about making money. It's about doing something that you wholeheartedly enjoy doing, and you know that validation is your reward. Yeah, absolutely. It was actually incredible. I mean, I was very lucky to get the opportunity, and I grabbed it with both hands. And as I say, when I got back, I started writing again, which was great. I really started to enjoy the whole kind of, musical experience again, but, from starting almost from the beginning again, and I went in and recorded my first album, which really was a solo album, although, we had some drums and bass on it, and, it was kind of
a full band sound.
Fairly full band sound. So the obvious thing was, if I was going to promote the album, I needed a band. And although, as I say, I didn't intend to do that, it was still, solo singles, singer-songwriter. But we put the album together. I basically, myself and the producer actually played everything on it.
Right.
And we used a bit of drum machine with some live drums as well. It was a mixture of kind of stuff. And then to promote and tour the album, I had to have a proper live band.
Yeah.
Now that's when it got a bit of a pain in the ass. We, believe it or not, were in rehearsal for nearly a year and a half, purely because every time, we thought we had the right person, and then within about a month or two, then discovered, this is just not working.
Yeah.
So start the auditions, and that went on for a year and a half. Eventually, we did our first, it was the album launch in 2013 at the 12 Bar Club in that famous street that I can't remember.
I'll Google it.
Denmark Street.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of Rollingexile.
Excellent. Right, so let's get up to your first choice of the show. Please introduce it, and we'll have a little chat about it afterwards.
Okay, this is from a band called Thin Lizzy, who were a great influence on me, growing up in the Irish music scene. When I say growing up, in the kind of mid-70s. And they were the band that really helped launch all of the different bands like U2. They were the ones that kind of broke the kind of...
That catalyst.
Yeah, because up to that point, rock bands people weren't interested in rock bands coming from Ireland. So Thin Lizzy, I have a lot to thank them for,
So this is Cowboy Song by the aforementioned Thin Lizzy.
I am just...
The excellent Thin Lizzy there with Cowboy Song. Such a great loss, such an early time. Like you were saying, They were the catalyst for, Irish artists breaking into the mainstream in the 70s.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was so much more that could have come from that band, and Phil as a songwriter was just.
He was a great collaborator as well.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, he did stuff with the Sex Pistols, Steve Jones,
that was great.
the Greedies,
The Greedies.
yeah. And also with Midge Ure of Ultravox fame doing Yellow Pearl and amongst other things. And he continued working with Gary Moore as well, who I briefly met once in a TGI restaurant. TGI Fridays restaurant. Actually, that's not quite right. He walked in, I turned to the person I was with and yelled excitedly, "Oh my God, it's Gary Moore," to which he obviously heard, turned around, looked at me, and that was it. But nonetheless.
The closest I ever got to Gary Moore was going out with his girlfriend. I don't think it was at the same time. But
Well, I hope not. So here we are, beginning of Rollingexile. So first album, pretty much just you on your own, with a little bit of help. So take us on from there.
Yeah, so we did the album launch, and then we started, doing the usual kind of round of London gigs, just getting the band kind of, what's the word, circulating really. And, by that you try and gather a following, and that was going really well, although, through that point or in time, there was a lot of inner conflicts in the band, and there was again
sadly inevitable, really. With it, you've got 3, 4, 5 egos all vying for attention.
Yeah, and it was like swinging doors, so band members coming in and out, but you couldn't keep count of it. So the continuity was not great, and especially when you're trying to launch a band. Yeah. And you get that constant, not interruptions, but it's an unevenness, because a band needs to be able to lock into each other. Yeah. And once you get that, then that's the time you go out and perform. Yeah. But if it starts happening while you're getting out there and performing, it's not good.
Yeah, you're destined to failure.
Yeah. But, it didn't affect us too much. It worked out.
Set you on your path.
Yeah. It could have been done better, though.
So talking of gathering a following, don't forget to follow Rollingexile on Twitter, which is at Rollingexile, all one word, Rolling and Exile, simple as that. And you can check out further information about the great Charlie at www.rollingexile.com. Now, Charlie, your next choice, Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah, Dr. Feelgood were a kind of I keep using that word, did I say revolution? Revelation.
Revolution. Both work with me, don't worry.
Okay, well,
it's all right, we haven't had anything to drink yet.
No? No, you're right. Forgot about that. They just suddenly came out of nowhere, and we were just thinking, wow, this is just great. It really just kicks the absolute daylights out of everything that I was listening to at the time.
Well, they kind of broke through in the punk era, didn't they? But they'd been going a long time before that. They were more connected to the London pub rock scene, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all from Canvey Island, and very much that kind of pub rock. But, because they were so damn good, I mean, they stretched across a lot of different areas, not just the pub rock, as they got bigger.
Yeah.
And, Wilco Johnson, a bit like Jimi Hendrix, you kind of think, how the hell does this guy play rhythm and lead at the same time so well? Not that I'm comparing Wilco with Jimi Hendrix, but that ability and skill. I know what you mean,
yeah. Another sad loss, but here we go with Dr. Feelgood.
She does it right.
Thanks. I must learn to read.
That's all right. I'm the same.
So, unlike me, Dr. Feelgood, she does it right, and I get it wrong. But hey ho.
Well, you got it right.
I got it right in the end. Right. So, you've released your first album.
Yep.
And you were saying off air that you did a little bit of busking?
Yeah, what I used to do was when I was writing new material, I used to masquerade as a busker and do various spots in London, you know, and it used to confuse a lot of people because, you know, they kind of, you know, obviously most buskers play covers, you know.
Without declaring anything to HMRC, was it profitable?
I don't think I'd be able to pay the mortgage with it, but no, it was
beer money.
It really, it was really that, yeah. But it was great, you know. Rather than, I mean, I got the idea. I was rehearsing songs in my kitchen one really hot summer's day, and I thought, God, you know, I need to get out of here. And I thought, I know, I'll masquerade as a busker, and just do it.
Do your rehearsing on the street,
and that, exactly. Yeah. And during that period, I was playing down at Greenwich, and this couple came up. They were listening. You know, sometimes people would stop and listen for a while. They bought a couple of albums. I had a few CDs there, and as they disappeared off into the distance, because they were from Germany, I said, "Yeah, maybe you can get us a gig in Germany sometime," you know. And so off they went. And about a week later, I got a phone call from the guy. He said, "Oh, I've just listened to your album, it's great." He said, "Look, I think I can get you some gigs in Germany." And I kind of thought, yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah, I've heard this before, yeah.
And sure enough, you know, within a month or two, he'd lined up about 8 or 9 gigs.
Wow.
So we took the band over to Germany. And I think what was great about the whole thing was I finally found my market, because the stuff, you know, most songwriters, not all of them, but you are influenced to a certain extent by the era and generation that you grow up in.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You know?
I mean, you listen to some of my tunes, and I often get referred to as sounding a bit 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
And obviously that's where the core of my radio show is based around, is kind of like the 80s and 90s indie rock, which is kind of where my sound sits. But
yeah, no, absolutely. And what I was quite becoming apparent was that, you know, the kind of music I was writing, really in London, you know, we were doing I call it the toilet circuit, you know, these small venues where you play 50 minutes or whatever, and there's 3 bands and whatever, and I just kind of thought, I'm flogging a dead horse here, you know. But in Germany, they just loved it, and I thought, this is our market.
Wow.
And from that point onwards, that's kind of really where we play. We do gigs in London.
Yeah. Well, when you get some dates, I'll make sure I plug them.
Great, yeah. No, I appreciate it, yeah.
And I've noticed that you've actually got a Facebook fan page that is based in Germany.
Yeah, it was a radio presenter who interviewed me on one of the first tours. And it was about a year and a half later, he put this fan club together. And I kind of, you know,
that must be really weird.
Well, I'm a bit like, fan club, I mean, like, come on, you know. But actually, you know, to be fair, it's really nice when you have people that are interested in your music and they actually support you.
Yeah, and I think, you know, some people out there forget that, you know, we can be insecure little souls as musicians and creative artists, and just have that little bit of appreciation every now and again. It goes a million miles.
It really does, yeah.
Next on Radio Wigwam, the 70s throwback on the Power Hour with Jake Dollery.
So much later than I normally slot in the 70s throwback, but what's your choice for your 70s throwback, Charlie?
Okay, well, this is, when I first heard this, I just went, my God, that is amazing. And it, again, it was just one of those songs, you know, you listen to radio and there's, yeah, that's okay. And suddenly after a couple of months, something pops up and it was All Right Now from Free. And I just went, oh man, that's it for me.
So I once had the great honour of meeting Paul Rodgers at work. I shan't tell you where I work, but I was at work. Had a really nice chat with him. He gave me a guitar plectrum and got me on the guest list to a show he was doing at, I think it was Hammersmith Palais or Hammersmith Apollo, I can't remember which. But unfortunately I couldn't go, so I missed out on that. But hey-ho. So, Germany.
Yeah, Germany. Well, you know, this is kind of where we play now, and this is kind of, you know, leading us into other countries like the Netherlands, and we're hopefully going to do some stuff in Spain. And but at the moment, our market really is Germany.
Wow! But you've also got a nice little following in the US as well.
Yeah, we have. I mean, obviously not well. I mean, obviously, but you know, it's not as big as Germany. But you know, we're building on it, and it's going well.
I think one of the first times we met was you returning from America.
That's right. Yeah. That would have been, man. That was 2015, I think, 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Long
Just
time.
done a couple of shows. Yeah.
Well, a long time ago.
Well, actually, I think there might have been one time later on.
I don't know. I was actually thinking it was a bit earlier than that.
No, I think 2015. Well, you could be right. Yeah. The years get. Yeah.
Yeah. Weeks turn into years. Weeks turn into years.
This is the Power Hour with Jake Dollery on Radio Wigwam.
So that little ident signals the bang in the middle bit of the show. I don't know why I bother doing that, but I do. That's just part of the show. Okay, still with me is my good friend and musician, well, rock legend, let's face it.
You're
Charlie,
very kind, Jake.
Charlie from Rollingexile. And Charlie's been very kindly telling us about his career and some of the key influencing songs. And tell us about the next one.
Okay, well, this is, I always get the pronunciation wrong, but Leonard Skinner.
Lynyrd Skynyrd, yeah.
Lynyrd Skynyrd, yeah.
Featured many times on the show before.
I never knew about these guys until I went to Nebworth in 76. I guess I was about 19 or something. Oh, God, I hate talking about my age.
I know the feeling, mate.
But, yeah, it was, the Rolling Stones were headlining, and there were some great acts. You know, there was
Glory days of rock.
10cc and Todd Rundgren and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this band came on at midday. I had no idea who they were, you know, and I thought, somebody said, this is an American band. I thought, here we go, you know, kind of American, kind of, you know, and not that I have anything against American bands. I thought, well, usually run of the mill. And, my God, they absolutely rocked the place. And they stole the day. I mean, for me, I got so fed up waiting for the Stones to come on at about 9 o'clock that I thought, I've had enough. I went back to the tent, and as I was falling asleep, I could hear the opening tunes of whatever it was, and I thought, I'm fine, I'm happy. I saw Lynyrd Skynyrd. That's it for me.
So, Charlie, we've pretty much covered most of your career. We've talked about Rollingexile. It's not just you. Who else is involved in Rollingexile?
Well, my longest sort of, say, serving member, it sounds like
loyal
a
servant.
But to my lead guitarist, Federico Bianco. And,
that's a name to be conjured with.
My bass player, you know, half my band is Italian, and my bass player, Leo Landini, and our new drummer, Peter Krieg, and especially to my manager, Mr. Peter Scharfen, who's really kind of done a hell of a lot for us, you know.
Well, I mean, for me, and I want to say this on air, that since we've met, and it was, without going into too much detail, quite a bizarre encounter, but we won't go into that in any great detail.
Yeah, nothing illegal, folks.
No. That's one that I'll quite happily talk about over a beer. But you know, as probably some of you have guessed, I do have a full-time job. I'm a singer-songwriter, musician, and part-time radio presenter for the fun of it. And Charlie, you have been a genuine inspiration to me, and our chats that we've had on the phone and online over the years has literally led me to this spot where I am presenting a radio show each week on Radio Wigwam. And you're probably asking in your head, how? And I'll briefly explain why. I noticed that you were tweeting and Facebooking messages about radio airplay in America.
Yeah.
and I'd asked you, well, how are you getting that done?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I think you basically said, well, no, I just sent them a track and they played it.
Yeah.
And so I thought, right, is it really that simple? I did the same thing, sent off a few tracks to this radio station. The next day they were playing it. And so I thought, wow. So I then started looking up other radio stations, and lo and behold, Radio Wigwam was one of them. I submitted their tracks. They liked it so much that they nominated me for a Best Male Act Award in 2020, which I'm still incredibly proud of.
Well deserved, yeah.
And just blew me away. And that led on to me doing a takeover show where they give you an opportunity to showcase a little bit of your own music and the music that's inspired you. And then that led to a meeting in a local pub, the Purple Turtle in Reading. Big shout out to Danny and the boys down there. And we had a chat, and I offered to do more than one radio show for them, and they pretty much bit my hand off. And here I am a year later, presenting the Power Hour here on Radio Wigwam. So I'd like to thank you, Charlie, for that, because I know it's through an indirect action, but that has been my inspiration. And the fact that you still are plugging at doing what you love, making music, and I think that is awesome. So a big round of applause for you for that.
Well, thank you, Jake. And I think you've also kind of illustrated that, this is what musicians and music's about. If you can help each other, and I don't mean in a patronising way, it really is.
We're not in competition with each other.
No.
And I've tried to pass on the help that you gave me. Occasionally I get people emailing the show asking me to play a tune of theirs. I don't really do unsigned acts or emerging acts. We've got shows on Wigwam that already do that.
Yeah.
But normally I send them a reply and give them the same tips as you gave me. So I think it's all about, giving and sharing.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of blowing smoke up your arse, mate. And briefly, what's your next choice?
It's my fire extinguisher. The next choice is The Cult, another band that I love. Again, it's kick-ass. Hating using that American expression, but there you go, kick-ass.
Is Rain by The Cult. So, Charlie, you talked about Gary Roberts earlier. Sad loss.
Yeah, as I probably said before, Gary was a huge help and influence and a great friend. And this track coming up now is, not one of their well-known tracks, but I didn't really want to play one of those, and I just thought, this is a good one. And the second track is also a good friend of mine who I've lost. I seem to be losing a lot of friends, but that was back in '95. Matthew Ashman, who was another great friend of mine, and took a real interest in me and brought me into the studio at one point in my career and paid for the whole session. And
thank goodness he did.
Yeah, so, hey, these are for my two mates, Gary and Matthew Ashman, and
may they rest in peace.
Yeah, love those guys.
So that was this week's Punk Double Shot, chosen by Charlie from Rollingexile, Boomtown Rats, She's Gonna Do You In, and Bow Wow Wow Roustabout. So, again, you have the great honour of having the last track of the show, normally reserved for me, but it's not all about me this week, it's all about you, Charlie.
Thank you, Jake. Well, it's much appreciated, mate. This is another track off the new album. This is called Dirty Water. I don't write that many kind of, rock and roll sort of style tracks, but I just thought, for live stuff, and I thought, actually, I want to just, kick up a bit of a storm with this one and see where it goes. And we have great fun playing it live.
Yeah,
and,
it's a great track. It's a great track.
Yeah.
So this is Dirty Water by Rollingexile.
All my trials
So that was Dirty Water by Rollingexile from his brand new album Weather Change. You can find out more about Charlie and Rollingexile at www.rollingexile.com. And we can also point you in the direction of his Twitter profile, which is quite simply at Rollingexile. Charlie, it has been a pleasure chatting to you over the last 2 shows. Thank you for coming down to see me to do them. Big thanks.
Thank you so much, Jake. I really enjoyed it.
It's been fun, hasn't it?
Yeah,
I told you it would be. I told you we'd have a little bit of a giggle. Anyway, good listeners, that's it for this week's show. The Power Hour will be back next week in its normal format with me, Jake Dollery. So I bid you love, peace, and keep rocking.